Hello, nerds and nerdettes. Welcome back to the channel where once again we are having our monthly video going over my top 10 releases for the month of April that are scheduled to be released at least for you guys to look out for. We are just finishing up March, heading into April, which obviously means a whole slew of new releases to be excited for. So I will be mentioning 10 that I think you guys, as well as for myself, should be looking out for and planning to pick up. But before we get into the actual list itself, I do want to remind you guys, as always, that if you're looking for any books or plan to pre-order any books like the ones in these lists, head on over to the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. Use that code STAYNERDY to get $2 off your order. It will help support their amazing company, of course, but it will also help support the channel, which I am always thankful for. You guys have really been showing out as far as support goes, so I want to thank each and every one of you for that. But without further ado, we can jump into the list, starting with number 10. And at number 10, we do have Survival Street. If I look over here, as always, guys, my notes are over here, so sorry. But we do have a scheduled release date of April 18th, a cover price of $19.99, so roughly 20 bucks. And it does have a page count of 120 pages. It's clearly a trade paperback and also a very unheard of title for me, at least. Maybe some of you guys have, but I really did not see this coming, never heard of it. And honestly, the whole point that it's here at the number 10 spot is because of the fact that I've never heard it. And that cover, as you can see, is just so intriguing. It looks like a play on Sesame Street, but kind of adult and playing with the concept of what Sesame Street is. Definitely up my alley. I really like aspects like that where something that's very popular in society, or whether it's on TV or movie or whatever it may be, and somebody takes it and really just flips it on its head. I used to be very big into art when I was younger, and I used to do this all the time. It was kind of like my shtick, was I would take Barney or even Sesame Street and zombify it or turn it violent in some form or fashion. And I really like that concept, and I think it's a lot of fun. So definitely going to be keeping my eyes out for this. Phone dropped again. Even though I don't really collect trade paperbacks, I am setting aside a small area that I'm going to start collecting some titles that only come out in trade paperbacks. So I probably will be possibly picking this up, but I will obviously let you guys know if it's something to talk about on probably my social medias, if you guys want to give those a follow on TikTok and Instagram. But that does wrap up number 10, so we'll head on over to number 9. Which number 9 is going to be Vanish Volume 1, a title that has a lot of buzz around it currently. We do have a scheduled release date of April 11th, a cover price tag of $14.99 or $15, and a page count of 112 pages. It's obviously a volume 1 in trade paperback format, so you're not getting a massive amount of story. It's kind of just that appetizer style. Because it is an indie title, which similar to Survival Street, I don't see it getting any different format potentially. With some indie titles, unless it really catches a lot of buzz, they typically kind of just float around in trade paperbacks for a long while until maybe eventually they get collected, which I hope this really does, because this is the team that worked on Venom by Donny Cates. You have Donny Cates doing writing, Ryan Stegman doing the art, once again on a title. A lot of you know how much I loved the Venom Donny Cates run, its art, every aspect of it, and this is the team doing it again, building a new kind of superhero universe that is somewhat a deconstruction of superheroes, very similar to things that Alan Moore may do. So it's really exciting, and I do want to dive in. I've heard nothing but good things and a lot of buzz around the title, so I definitely plan on checking it out. And I definitely recommend it to you guys if your kind of wheelhouse is the big two and you want to branch out. This is definitely something that seems to have very similar vibes to something from Marvel or something from DC. So it's worth checking out for you guys if you're into that kind of thing. But that does wrap up number 9, so we'll head to number 8. Which number 8 is going to be the Adam Warlock, or Warlock, I see a lot of people calling it, Omnibus. Has a scheduled release date of April 4th. I'm hoping that won't change. We know how Marvel and DC sometimes flip those dates. It does have a standardized price tag of $125 and a page count of 904 pages. A little bit on the smaller side for that $125 price tag, but it is what it is. Honestly, it's not something I would 100% recommend to anybody that likes more modernized comic books, obviously, because it is a little bit dated. It is the early years and the introduction of the character of Adam Warlock. But the main reason it is this far into the list is, one, this is the first time that Adam Warlock's story has been printed in omnibus format. I think it's only really been collected in Epic collections, I believe, and I'm not even super confident in that. So it is exciting to see him getting some love as far as the omnibus format goes, and we're kind of seeing that more commonly, the obscure, lesser-known characters getting an actual omnibus, which is really exciting. But also I'm recommending it because he's obviously making his MCU appearance in the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which obviously is probably why this omnibus is coming out. But if you want to know a little bit about the character, his origins, how he came to be, what he is, this is a great starting point. This is as early as his chronological comic appearances go, and this is a great title or a great book to pick up if you really just want to dive into the character of Adam Warlock. So I definitely recommend it to those of you that don't mind dated comics, maybe enjoy the historical aspect of it, but also want to get to know a little bit more about obscure characters or Adam Warlock specifically. But that does wrap up number 8, so we'll head to number 7. Which number 7 is going to be DC versus Vampires Volume 2, the hardcover. I haven't gotten Volume 1 just yet, but I do plan to. So this is still going to make an appearance on the list. We do have a scheduled release date of April 14th, a cover price of $24.99, and a page count of 160 pages. Obviously, it's a volume 2. It's just a single volume. Nothing crazy there as far as page count goes. Honestly, it's James Tynion doing more DC Elseworld story kind of titles, which, as I've said in other videos, I'm a huge fan of kind of the Elseworld world when DC heroes are really played with and just messed around with. So we're getting more of that here, but honestly, the main reason that I am attracted to this title and planning to actually pick it up is because the vibes of the story overall seem very similar to Tom Taylor's Deceased. So for my fans of Deceased, this is definitely something you may want to look out for. It's a somewhat apocalyptic style story where you have, instead of DC superheroes taking on zombified kind of characters like Deceased, we obviously have vampires. I've heard it can be a little bit drawn out, and there's a lot of tie-in titles that actually matter, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I am a huge sucker for Elseworld stories and stories that have zombies or vampires, werewolves, kind of those classical horror characters and creatures. And it also involves superheroes on top of that, so it's definitely something that I plan to be picking up. And if you are a fan of Deceased, then I think you guys should be interested as well. I've heard it's not as violent. It's a little bit more stylized and artistic than Deceased, but still it's going to be the same old characters being infected, who is and who isn't infected, fighting an infection, all of the fun tropes that come with kind of the horror infection-based style stories. But that does wrap up at number 7, something I'm very excited for, but we'll head to number 6. Which number 6 is going to be Fantastic Four by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch, the Omnibus. We do have a scheduled release date of April 25th, a cover price tag of $100, which is super awesome, and then we do have a page count of 784 pages. That price tag resembling that page count we've seen fairly commonly. That 700 mark, usually you're going to get slapped with that $100 price tag, which is always awesome. But as I've said before, I'm not a huge Fantastic Four fan. I do like certain runs, such as Jonathan Hickman's run, also the Wade and Waringo run as well. Those absolutely blew me away. But as far as their titles typically go, it's usually somewhat hit or miss for me. That's just more my subjective take as a reader. but I am a huge fan of Mark Millar and Brian Hitch, and especially them working together. As we all know, this is the same team that worked on Ultimates, so you're going to be getting that grounded, realistic kind of take and play with the characters. You're going to get that huge cinematography style of storytelling when Mark Millar and Brian Hitch really work together. They very much tell a story that feels like it's made for a big screen, that you're watching a movie as you're reading it. And I think it's going to lend very greatly to the omnibus format. As far as the story goes, it is good. I'm kind of a sucker for big two stories in general. It's hard to find very many that I absolutely hate. It's not anything that I'm going to write home for. It's not Jonathan Hickman's or Wade's run. But if you're a Fantastic Four fan, then it's worth picking up, especially for the art in this omnibus format. That way you can actually see Brian Hitch going off like he usually does. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's the first time it's being collected in omnibus format, which is also super exciting and noteworthy within itself. So it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a Fantastic Four fan. But that does wrap up number 6. So we'll head into our top 5. And number 5 will once again be somewhat a character I'm not a huge fan of, but is going to be the Deadpool and Cable Omnibus, which has a scheduled release date of April 25th, a cover price tag of $125, and it has a page count of 1,272 pages. As a lot of you guys know, this is the Cable Deadpool series. They just swapped the names because Deadpool has more notoriety than Cable. But all in all, this is a 90s comic lover's wet dream. This has the two edgiest and artsiest characters in Marvel, Cable and Deadpool. Cable with all of his pouches, his arm, his eye. Deadpool with his Spider-Man-esque kind of look and vibe, but he's a ninja, all in one title. This is really the only other Deadpool Omni, or featuring Deadpool Omni, that I'd want to collect. I'm also not a huge Deadpool fan either, but when I was collecting single issues, this actually was a title that I was collecting and very much enjoying. Some of the closer to modern kind of era titles are a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, the title in general is a lot of fun. You have Cable, Deadpool, who are complete opposites in a lot of ways, and obviously this entire kind of title is the inspiration for Deadpool 2. So if you enjoyed that movie, then this is kind of its, I guess, blueprint, or where it came from, its source material. But it is a lot of fun. I don't think it's anything you're going to dive into, and it's going to be extremely thought-provoking, deep, or artistic. It's just going to be a lot of fun, and sometimes I can pull towards titles that have a little bit more of that vibe of just turning the brain off and just having a bit of fun while you're reading. But yeah, so definitely worth picking up if you're a Deadpool or a Cable fan, or if you just like 90s comics in general, because this has all of that 90s flair just completely thrusted in it through every page and every panel, and it is a complete blast, and that's exactly why it made it to number 5. But we're wrapped up with that, and we'll head to number 4. And at number 4, we do have the Jurassic League, which I believe is a hardcover, which is super exciting. At least that's what I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. We do have a release date of April 18th, a cover price of $24.99, and then we do have a page count of 152 pages. I am a huge fan of Daniel Warren Johnson ever since reading Murder Falcon the past year. I think he's probably in my top 5 favorite artists in this modern era of comics, and he is really, really producing some very fun stuff. A lot of times doing writing and art, which is absolutely just always amazing. I mean, I cannot believe people actually do that, how much work goes into that. He's also been getting a lot of buzz, especially with his title that recently came out, Do a Powerbomb, which was very acclaimed in the community. But this is him again, playing with DC characters, turning them into dinosaurs, and telling a story of the Justice League as dinosaurs fighting their villains, who are also dinosaurs, in the Jurassic era. Can't get much more fun than that. Art is absolutely immaculate, and I cannot recommend anything that he works on enough because it is breathtaking in general. His paneling, his writing, his storytelling, every aspect of it is absolutely beautiful. If you haven't checked out any of his other titles, definitely do so. Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, Murder Falcon, Do a Powerbomb. Those are three great titles to start with. Highly recommend him as a creator in general, but anything he touches on is probably going to be in my top 5 list of something that I'm excited for or anticipating. So definitely be on the lookout for this. But we'll head to number 3. Which number 3 is going to be the Batman Spawn Deluxe Edition. A lot of buzz around this book, which we'll get into. So this is the Deluxe Edition, oversized hardcover, I believe. So it does have a price tag of $29.99, a release date of April 4th, and a page count of 280 pages. This book has a lot of buzz because they just recently released a standard-sized hardcover that had the older Spawn and Batman crossover. But in this Deluxe Edition, that literally is coming, a month or two after that standard edition, we are going to have the updated Spawn or Batman Spawn crossover that kind of recently came out. So a little bit of a buzz, negative buzz around how quickly they're released back to back. A lot of people saying it feels like a money grab, which I could somewhat agree with, but I didn't grab the standard edition hardcover. I wanted to wait for this Deluxe Edition, and this is the Deluxe Edition, or the Spawn, Batman Spawn, whatever, hardcover that I plan to get. Obviously, you have the Todd father, Todd McFarlane, working on it, Greg Capullo on art, doing Batman and Spawn, who is probably in the top 3 best artists for both of the characters, so that's awesome. And especially getting that in a Deluxe Edition format where you can really see that art shine, super exciting. Obviously, Spawn and Batman being somewhat similar yet not darker characters, it lends greatly to one another, or they lend greatly to one another. But honestly, it's not anything groundbreaking. It's, again, some fun, just putting these very popular and awesome characters together and having some fun with them. It's not going to be a insanely story-driven story or title in general. It's just some fun, but the 90s kid in me just wants it. I just need to have it in my hand and see it on oversized format, Deluxe Edition, and have it in the library. But super excited to actually get that. It pained me not to pick up that standard size, but it's going to pay off in the end, and I'm happy to finally get it this month. But we'll head to the top 2. Which number 2 is going to be Batman by Chip Zdarsky, the Volume 1 hardcover, art by the amazing Jorge Jiménez. We have a release date of April 4th, a price tag of $24.99, and a page count of 224 pages. Cannot speak enough for this title. This is going to be, I believe, the entire Failsafe storyline, which is some of the best comics I've read in a very long time. Chip Zdarsky hopping off kind of his hot run from Daredevil, or not hopping off, but bringing that energy and that vibe to now a very similar and dark character, which is Batman, and he absolutely knocks it out of the park, pays so much homage to past Batman runs, especially Grant Morrison's, and really just, I cannot believe the storytelling that he did in it. It was so much fun. It was so far-fetched, yet Batman at the same time, and it was a blast to read. Jorge Jiménez, obviously, is no rookie to drawing Batman. He's probably a lot of people's favorite Batman artist currently. He's probably in my top 3, top 5 favorite modern era Batman, or not Batman, artist in general. So super excited that this is finally coming out. I've decided to start getting some of these hardcovers just because I'm never too sure how DC is going to go about omnibuses, or if they are going to at all. So I'm just going to start picking up some hardcovers for titles that I really want. And if it gets an omnibus, I sell them off. I do a giveaway. I do something. Whatever. No big deal. But super excited to get this into the library, to read it again, to experience it again. It is I cannot recommend this enough. Between this and World's Finest, those are probably the two best titles that DC put out in recent years. And then right behind that, probably Nightwing. Flash is a good one too. But those are really the books to be looking out for. And it felt like ages waiting for this hardcover. So I'm super excited. Check that out, especially if you're a fan of Batman. It feels so Batman, so comic booky. It is absolutely great. But that does wrap up number 2. So we'll head to my number 1 overall most anticipated book for the month of April, which of course is going to be none other than the War of Kings Omnibus. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw that coming. We do have a release date of April 11th, a page count of 1,304 pages, huge book, and a price tag of $125. This is a reprint, and this is going into, or continuing rather, the cosmic saga, cosmic odyssey that kind of started with Annihilation and kind of continued from there. I don't think Annihilation is necessarily required reading to get into Road to War of the Kings or War of the Kings, but definitely some great reading here. Not to be confused with War of the Realms. This is called War of the Kings. There is 3 omnibuses that cover the lead up, the actual event, and I believe the aftermath of it, which I think it's Aftermath of War of the Kings. But such good reading. If you're a fan of kind of the cosmic side of Marvel that was explored in Annihilation or is explored in Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely pick this up. A lot of Inhuman stuff going on here involving the X-Men also. So much fun. Feels so much, again, like something that is meant for a movie. Has a whole slew of creators kind of lending their hand to it and having a lot of fun. And I can't recommend it enough, especially if you want to get to know the character of Black Bolt a little bit more since his introduction during Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness. This is a great point to kind of just know what the character is about because he is awesome. But again, very good stuff. Definitely worth checking out. But just keep in mind, this will only be a fraction of the story that's going to be told between 3 omnibuses in total. But that is my number 1 pick, and that does wrap up my list. So, of course, thank you so much for watching. As always, of course, comment down below. I want to hear from you guys what you guys are most anticipated for, most excited for. I would love to hear from you guys. Obviously, certain things I either haven't read or just aren't on the top of my list, but of course I can be convinced. If I'm sleeping on something, let me know down below. I'm always interested in exploring something that I haven't read or maybe think isn't going to be great. So let me know down below what you guys are looking for or what I should be looking for or what I should add to my list. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. If you are not a part of the Illuminati, of course, hit that subscribe button to join today. It's an amazing community, such amazing people. I mean, the comment section, every video just amazes me and wows me. I would also very much appreciate you hitting that thumbs up icon. It really helps the channel grow because it helps out with the algorithm. And of course, if you enjoyed this content, hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified anytime I put out content. We're right now putting out videos Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays and trying to do shorts in between here and there. I got a couple series going between videos and shorts, having a lot of fun with you guys. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed what you guys watched today. Hope you guys enjoy yourself watching every video. But of course, just don't forget to stay nerdy.